Whether you love him or hate him, you can't argue that Kevin Durant is one of the deadliest scorers in NBA history. Considered to be one of the most polarizing figures around the league, KD has already cemented his place among the basketball greats, and there's no doubt that he'll be a first ballot Hall of Famer once he decides to hang up his sneakers for good. But beneath his Grim Reaper-like frame and cold-blooded on-court persona, there are still things about KD that are not known to many. 10 things you did not know about Kevin Durant. Number 10. Raptors fan. Despite being raised in the heart of Washington, D.C., Durant has admitted that he has always been a huge fan of the Raptors, and he even expressed his intention to play for the Toronto-based franchise during his younger years. The Raptors were an expansion team that was founded in 1995, and Durant said in an interview that he wanted to be part of an emerging franchise that has yet to prove something. He said, "Believe it or not, I wanted to play for the Toronto Raptors. That was my favorite team. They were a new team when I was growing up, so I wanted to be a part of that." Another reason that solidifies his aspiration was his fondness over the franchise's electrifying star, Vince Carter. Durant grew up idolizing Carter, and this is what KD had to say about Vince. His enthusiasm he showed, just his athleticism, and how he brought Toronto from being one of the newer teams in the league to almost going to the finals. He changed the culture there in Toronto. But sadly, Durant got selected by the Sonics as the second overall pick in the 2007 NBA draft. What do you think would have happened if he went to the Raptors? Do you think he would have won multiple rings with them? I want to hear your answers on this one by dropping your comments below. Number 9. The number 35. Kevin Durant used the number 35 as his number for most of his career until he switched to the number 7 just last season when he signed with the Brooklyn Nets. The number 35 was a tribute to his former AAU coach, Charles Craig, who was gunned down at age 35 at a strip mall parking lot in Maryland. People around the neighborhood called him Big Chucky, and later on became close to Durant and served as his father figure as he was distant to his own. Craig was the type of guy that loves to help kids. He would often shed out a few bucks just so that they could buy some snacks. He also took them to movies and offered rides to their homes. Durant was one of the recipients of Craig's love and generosity, and in return, KD decided to wear the number 35 in his remembrance. He said, "If he would have died when he was 47 years old, I would have switched my number to 47. It's all about doing it for somebody I love. It's not about what's the better number and what looks better on me. It's all about him." Number 8. Thunderstruck. In recent years, several NBA superstars have made successful transitions from the court to the bright lights of Hollywood. For example, when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar decided to join Bruce Lee on Game of Death, or when Ray Allen played Jesus Shuttlesworth in He Got Game, or when MJ teamed up with Bugs Bunny and the Looney Tunes to take down the Monstars. I'm pretty sure that most of you are pretty familiar with these iconic films, but did you know that Kevin Durant appeared in one as well? Yep, in 2012, KD starred in a family-oriented movie called Thunderstruck. It's about a 16-year-old high schooler who completely sucked at playing hoops, magically switches basketball talents with Durant, and the rest of the story basically revolves around getting things back to where they once were. The movie didn't do well in the box office, and likewise received a 27% on Rotten Tomatoes. I mean, has anyone actually seen the movie? Let me know your thoughts by dropping your answers in the comment section. Number 7. Nike over Adidas. In 2007, KD managed to close a 7-year shoe deal with Nike in his rookie season for $60 million, including a $10 million signing bonus. Prior to his signing with the swoosh, Durant had declined an almost similar but more lucrative deal from Adidas, which was a 7-year, $70 million deal that included a $12 million signing bonus. When KD was asked why he didn't take the better offer, his agent said that KD had a long history of using Nike, which dated back to his 8th grade days in DC. Durant's agent Aaron Goodwin said, "At the end of the day, Kevin has been with Nike his whole career, and he felt comfortable with them. He took the time to give Adidas the opportunity, and they're a great company, but he chose the company that he's more familiar with. And we build brands on authenticity, and it's more authentic for him to be somewhere where he wants to be and he's comfortable." Durant's 7-year, $60 million deal ranks second amongst the most lucrative deals ever handed to a rookie, only behind LeBron James, who secured a massive 7-year, $19 million deal in 2003. Number 6. Business tattoos. Not too many people know that KD actually has a good amount of tattoos on his body. He refers to them as his business tattoos and vowed to keep it away from plain sight to maintain his clean image. Under his jersey, KD has a torso full of tattoos that range from Bible quotes, his childhood home, a boy dribbling a basketball that wears the number 35, to the Washington Nationals team logo. Meanwhile, a huge Maryland tattoo is deeply embedded across his shoulder blades, and rightly beneath it depicts an angel that is holding a Kevin Durant jersey. Aside from those, the Durantula also has a Tupac Shakur and Rick James portrait tattooed on his left leg and left thigh respectively. Number 5. Easy Money KD. Kevin Durant has proven throughout his career that he's not just an average NBA player. Just like other hoopers/entrepreneurs like Carmelo Anthony, Kobe, LeBron, and Michael Jordan, Durant is also a big-time investor with a highly diversified portfolio. To start off, he and his business partner and manager, Rich Kleiman, have founded 35 Ventures. 35 Ventures providing financial backings for small companies and tech startups. Aside from that, both Kleiman and KD have delved into some tech ventures as well, investing in startups like Postmates, a food delivery app, and Lime, another startup that sells electric scooters. KD has already made over $350 million throughout his career, including his latest contract with the Nets, and excluding endorsement deals and other sponsorships. We want to hear some of your thoughts. Will KD be a billionaire before 50? What do you think? Number 4. Say cheese. Time and time again, KD has shown us what he's capable of bringing on the court. But did you know that KD was once tested as a sideline photographer outside of the court? Yes, this one really did happen. Durant was invited as an official photographer by the Players Tribune and the NFL back in the 2016 edition of the Super Bowl between the Broncos and the Panthers. Durant talked about and recalled his experience that night in an article posted on the Players Tribune's website. He said, "I've got a lot of interests outside of basketball, and one of them is doing things I haven't done before, like stepping into the shoes of a photographer and learning about what it's all about. I may just be starting out, but I also like to think that at my height, I might have some different angles than other photographers. After all, you've got to play up your strengths." At the end of the day, it was definitely not a walk in the park for KD. And taking photos from the sidelines ain't that easy as it seems. He said, "The biggest thing I learned is something I knew on a certain level, but didn't know until tonight. That sports photography is hard work and it takes a lot of skill and focus in a crazy atmosphere with a lot of distractions. I have a ton of respect for the people who do this as a profession." Number 3. The Weatherman. Did you know that KD once aspired to be a meteorologist when he was young? Can you imagine seeing a 7-foot weatherman? When Kevin was younger, he dreamed of being a meteorologist and anchoring on a major news station. To show support to young Kevin, Nike decided to create a shoe line that was inspired by his childhood dream. Nike has decided to honor his childhood dream by creating a shoe line series called KD4 Weatherman and KD6 Meteorology. We may not see KD in the news predicting the weather, but seeing him rain down those threes on the court could be the closest thing from being a real weatherman. Number 2. Super Team Hater. Kevin Durant spent his entire career playing under the Sonics Thunder franchise. After several years of playoff heartbreaks with OKC, KD was still unable to capture that elusive NBA championship. In the summer of 2010, LeBron James' The Decision changed the NBA landscape forever when he took his talents to South Beach in Miami. Durant was apparently not happy with the way things were turning out in the league, and he even took a shot at LeBron's decision and the Lakers. He said, "Now everybody want to play for the Heat and the Lakers? Let's go back to being competitive and going at these peoples." 6 years later, after sending that eyebrow-raising tweet, Durant did the unthinkable and left OKC for good and signed with the Western powerhouse, the Golden State Warriors. In hindsight, it's still pretty ironic to think that Durant became the exact person that he once despised. His back-to-back championships will always be a blurry part in his legacy that is marred with controversy and a bunch of what-ifs here and there. Number 1. Durant and Beasley. Kevin Durant and Michael Beasley never run out of good things to say to one another. KD once said that Beasley was just as skilled as LeBron and himself, while Beasley in return considered Durant as his first real friend ever. The two players shared a long history together as they played in the same AAU and high school team during their younger years at Prince George's County in Maryland. And on top of that, They both picked a Big 12 college and got selected as number 2 overall picks in 2007 and 2008. KD said, "We hooped everywhere and we didn't care. That's when I started to realize we were friends. I was always in the gym, either by myself or with Mike or with my team. I ain't really had no real friends either. I didn't meet friends at school or my next door neighbor. We had to figure it out. Basketball is what brought us all together. Then you started to see the person. I started to see what he liked to do. I started to see his family. I started to see what he was passionate about outside of basketball, and the same time with me." Despite having a lot of similarities, both their NBA careers went in opposite directions. Durant managed to become one of the most decorated players in NBA today, having won the MVP award, back-to-back finals MVP, and back-to-back championships. Meanwhile, Beasley never lived up to his LeBron-like potential, but still managed to have a decent career in NBA, playing for 6 different teams in his 11 seasons in the league before playing pro ball overseas in China for 2 more years. Despite that, the bond that KD and Beasley had will only strengthen their friendship more than ever, and they will definitely remain as blood brothers for life. Well, there you go. That's a wrap on this series about the 10 things you didn't know about Kevin Durant.